कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपिका श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिराज गोवर्धन जी महाराज की जय। ब्रजभूमि वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय। श्री क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। साकेत अयोध्यापुरी धाम की जय। गंगा मैया की जय, जमुना माई की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, तुलसी महारानी की जय, समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are reading from chapter 3, Bhagavad Gita, verse number 38. Tumenavriyate vihirya yathardaso malena cha yathol plenavrato garbhas tata tenedamavratam. As fire is covered by smoke, as a mirror is covered by dust, or as the embryo is covered by the womb, the living entity is similarly covered by different degrees of this lust. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. There are 3 degrees of covering the living entity, by which his pure consciousness is obscured. This covering is but lust, under different manifestations, like smoke in the fire, dust on the mirror, and the womb about the embryo. When lust is compared to smoke, it is understood that the fire of the living spark can be little perceived. In other words, when the living entity exhibits his Krishna consciousness slightly, he may be likened to the fire covered by smoke. Although fire is necessary when there is smoke, there is no overt manifestation of fire in the early stage. This stage is like the beginning of Krishna consciousness. The dust on the mirror refers to a cleansing process of the mirror, of the mind, by so many spiritual methods. The best process is to chant the holy names of the Lord. The embryo covered by the womb is an analogy illustrating a helpless position for the child in the womb is so helpless that he cannot even move. This stage of living condition can be compared to that of trees. The trees are also living entities, but they have been put in such a condition of life by such a great exhibition of lust that they are almost void of all consciousness. The covered mirror is compared to the birds and beasts, and the smoke covered, please scroll down. Fire is compared to the human being. In the form of a human being, the living entity may revive a little Krishna consciousness, and if he makes further development, the fire of his spiritual life can be in the human form of life, kindled in the human form of life. By careful handling of the smoke in the fire, fire can be made to blaze. Therefore, the human form of life is a chance for the living entity to escape the entanglement of material existence. In the human form of life, one can conquer the enemy lust by cultivation of Krishna consciousness under able guidance. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरून् श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च। श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपदान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभयश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। A very good evening to all of you who are present here in today's class. Last week we talked about, you know, kama vairina, lust as the ultimate enemy. Can someone help me recall what was the key point that I talked about in the previous class? As in, help me recall is not that I need the help. That was just a figurative way of saying. Can you recall what was?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu, please go ahead.
You are telling that intelligence is nothing in front of discipline. One of the point.
Mhm. And in what context did I say that?
Like we know that we are not supposed to overeat, but we overeat. One example.
Hmm. So intelligence is nothing before what?
Discipline.
Okay,
Or our poor
I'm happy.
habits. Or in front of our poor habits.
I'm happy you recall the later half of it, but this is incorrect understanding.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for taking this up. Can someone else please share what's the right thing?
Prabhuji, actually, one point you explained is satisfaction of desires, that in a broad sense is compared to lust, and residence of lust is in our senses, and intelligence is powerless before habits, our bad habits. What Chidambar Sahib told.
Yes.
Same.
All 3 points are yes.
Prabhuji pranams. Prabhuji, we spoke about Krishnendriya and Swendriya. When we try to satisfy Swendriya, that is lust or it's kama, and when satisfy Krishnendriya, it is pure love. That is also one of the points.
Yes, it was one of the points.
Last divorce everything. One is sakama karma and one is nishkama karma. Nishkama karma is related to Krishnendriya satisfaction. Sakama karma is lusty desire or self satisfaction, self own in satisfaction of one's own indriyas.
Wonderful. So, in this chapter titled as Karma Yoga, last week we read Kama Esha, Krodha Esha, Rajoguna Samudbhava. When Arjun asks the question, there were two verses we had taken up that Krishna, I feel impelled as if somebody is forcing me. I feel impelled by lust. And he asks, not he doesn't use as if, there is inner push to do something. Then Krishna corroborates. He says, yes, kama esha krodha esha. It is due to the lust only. And very nicely, see what I uh, generally prefer in all the classes is number one, try sitting with a pen and a paper. And not because it's some academic exercise happening here, but uh, when you hear and then you write, and then casually also during the daytime or anywhere when you have little time, you skim through, there is very nice recall, revision, review, all of those things happen. These things assist us when it comes to applying this knowledge. So that's why I, often maintain this stance that these classes are for sincere seekers. They are not one-off classes to, how should I put it, create unnecessary emotional urge, uh, or showcase some kind of sentimental stuff, uh, which is completely devoid of the real knowledge, which is what we are discussing here by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. And very nicely, Badri Vishal Prabhu mentioned that the resting place of the lust are the senses, and the intelligence is powerless. But the take home of the previous class was, which he mentioned, that intelligence is powerless in front of habits, and habits or samskar are formed over multiple lifetimes. It is that force which is much, much, much more powerful than the intelligence. मैं करना चाहता नहीं हूं पर मैं कर बैठता हूं. I have so much to still say about it. It happens with all of us all the time, and we unnecessarily, go heavy on ourselves because we do not know structurally that how this whole thing functions. We don't know. As in those who haven't read this purport, that when habits are there, understanding is of little help. It is the force that is coming through the habit. And I gave examples last time. The liver also is an habitual organ. You eat at a certain time every day, it will ask for the food at exactly the same time. You sleep at a certain time every day for a week, eighth day you will fall asleep without any effort. The habit formation, what you call our second nature, right on top of habit formation is consciousness. Habit formation is dead. It's like a lot of data in a machine. It's churning out, but it's not a living force. What is the good news? If this quota of habit can be reduced, which is actually equivalent to dust, then whether your intelligence wants it or it doesn't want it, understand it or doesn't understand it, you will not get affected. And also look at the invisible hand of the Lord. A child, 2 years, 3 years old, looking at a naked person doesn't feel perturbed. He does not. We do. Which means at a certain age only, this unearth, this habit will pop up in you. Till the time your body is not sufficiently strong, the doors of enjoyment will be restricted for you. They'll not be open. This is the invisible hand of the nature. So you may have desire to enjoy 10,000 parts of sex life, but in this life your capacity is 50. All right. And that 50 will come at when you hit puberty in the form of thoughts, and it will decline close to your late 40s, which means the invisible hand is working. That's why the living entity should know that he is in complete control of Krishna. Otherwise, we'll create havoc, kill each other, lead a completely immoral life, and everything will be bogus. So, from time to time, the Lord, moment to moment, rather, has designed us in such a way that we don't spoil the whole thing. So, intelligence, ask people who get addicted, what happens to them? They cry. I gave you the example of that Vastav movie last time, but can't get rid of it. दिमाग मानता है पर दिल नहीं मानता. All of those things. After last week's class, those of you who had heard it properly, you don't belong to that class anymore. Now you know that habit is like debt, or like, positive wealth or asset. It is with me, it has to be exhausted. When I am without it, I will be fine. Most of us have absolutely no urge of smoking marijuana. No urge. We are completely devoid of it. But we may be great achievers for someone who is dependent on that drug. Ask him. He can't kill even 15 minutes. He's so dependent. He's just looking for it. Like our dependence on cell phones. And I'm talking about scrolling, mindless scrolling, going through videos which are of absolutely no relevance. And even if they are of relevance all the time, you can't be doing it. So that's addiction. And that is, what is it doing? It is increasing the habit. What will be the result? Tomorrow, when you would want to leave it, this habit will force you. Oh, it's 4 o'clock. It's time to do that. And then your brain will say, no, you need to be smart. How can you do that? You can't succumb to it. You can't do this. Oh, no, 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 let's do it. I find this concept extremely powerful, that intelligence has no strength. That's why we say, Jayatam Suratau, Ratau, Rati, and then Ratau. Suratau, which means they who are, always in deep affection of each other. Radha and Krishna. Jayatam, all glories to them. Suratau. Pango mama mand mater gati. My intelligence is dim. Mama mand mater gati. I am lame and ill-advised. Mat sarvasva padambujo Radha Madana Mohana. The lotus feet of Sri Sri Radharani and Madan Mohanji, they are my everything. Because otherwise, I am lame and ill-advised. I am dull. There's no pace in me. My consciousness is dull and ill-advised, and my intelligence can't think properly. How does intelligence acquire good habits? When intelligence listens to scripture, then it does not speculate. It receives. Write it in bold letters. When intelligence receives knowledge from scriptures, that is the right source, then it does not speculate. ये भी हो सकता है, वो भी हो सकता है. It may be this, it may be that. No. Perfect, bang on, precise. You are not this body, you are the soul. You don't die. This dress upon you can be given up forever. You can get rid of the whole thing. So intelligence becomes sharp by scripture reading, by oral reception, by association of devotees, by hearing the holy names of the Lord. All these things, and of course, circumstances. Dhruv Maharaj became intelligent when he got the trauma of his life. In Kali Yuga, intelligent people will worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead by chanting the holy names of the Lord. They are intelligent. So, like mind can acquire habits, intelligence can also acquire habit, because all organs of our body have the capability to be habit dependent. That's why so many sessions and seminars happen on power of good habits. But remember, on top of habit is consciousness, a personal touch. There are many people who wake up at 4, there are many people who have been chanting and so on and so forth, but it cannot be mechanical. So consciousness has to be the driver. Habit can give you speed, consciousness will give you accuracy. When the mind is purified, relatively speaking, of all these bad habits, partly also, in that proportion, you feel light in your heart. So, last time I am repeating that anartha, unwanted habits, are much more powerful than our dull intelligence. So, sharpen the intelligence by listening to the scriptures so that it can then fight back. It's a courtroom drama that happens between mind and intelligence all the time. All the time. First thing in the morning, intelligence wants us to wake up on time. Mind wants us to sleep more. First battle. Okay, fine, I'm getting up. Enough. Don't tell me office hai, ye hai, wo hai, this, that. Getting up. Now don't push me for a bath, okay? Nobody is going to check whether I bathed or not. Please. Another 10 minutes of arguments internally, particularly if it is winters. On top of it, if there is no power, Monday blues, you don't want to go. Children don't want to go to school. Mothers, when they plan their day ahead, so much of cooking, so much of cleaning, so much of stuff. Mind sinks, intelligence pleads, and life goes on. Manah shasthani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. Karshati, struggling, constant struggle. That's material existence. When the intelligence is clear, on top of it, when you have instruments to cleanse the mirror of the heart, let these unwanted habits unearth, let me get you rid of it. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. By chanting, without the involvement of the intelligence, this dust starts getting wiped out. The material senses, which were so powerful, they start becoming relatively dull. The spiritual senses, which were dull, they start gaining strength. In the corporate parlance, they say, feed the good dog, starve the bad dog. Means kill unwanted habits and create new positive, all of those things. So habits are much more powerful. Intelligence has hardly any standing before them. Sorry for being so repetitive, but if I can convey the significance of this, because this is the premise, if you provide it to your brain, why should I chant? Then you say, I have got intelligence as the best faculty I have. Better than my hands, better than my nose, better than my eyes. My intelligence is the best I know. But there is something far better than my intelligence. Let me use that facility so that this stubborn mind can be brought to place or put to place, so to say. So the why I give so much, because this was all of this was a precursor to establish in your heart the significance of chanting. If you are chanting and hearing, these habits will gradually leave you. And it just doesn't stop there. Huh? This is the very first big benefit. Cheto darpanamarjanam. This is the first benefit of chanting Hare Krishna. In today's verse, I was so far going through what we discussed last time. In today's verse, beautiful purport, Srila Prabhupada educates us further, mentioning that the three examples Krishna gave, the womb and the embryo, that example pertains to or relates or symbolizes, trees, so to say. So, jada, due to prolonged sense gratification, when the consciousness becomes dull, you are barely there. Most faint stage of consciousness, then you are made to stand naked, can't move, just be there. That's the real constitutional position of a tree. In literary terms, in analogies, etc., the tree may be regarded as, Tranadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishnuna, etc. But if you go by theory of evolution, not Darwin's theory of evolution, from a single cell organism with natural selection and adaptive behavior, the organisms kept on getting transformed and for better, for good, more advanced. That's how Darwin's theory of evolution is or talks about. But our theory of evolution, which is Sanatan, that talks about concomitant to a certain level of consciousness. Concomitant means uh, if right beside this, right beside a level of consciousness exists a reality. So when you reach that level of consciousness, that reality reveals itself. The reality of an ant, of an insect, of a beast, of a bird, of a cow, of a lion, and us. These are different experiences of reality. Whether the kind of colors they can look at, from the sort of things that they have to fly, and so on and so forth. Their experience of the world is different, not completely different, but depending on their consciousness. And people who are higher than us, demigods, Indra, Varun, when they descend for any reason onto this earthly planet, their feet do not touch the ground. 6 inches up. They'll always be up. For them, the what you call sthula sharir, so physical body or existence of 5 physical elements, they have very less interaction with it. They are more inclined towards subtle joys. Like meeting somebody in a dream is much sweeter than meeting that same person in real. Because when you are looking at somebody in the chamber of your mind, then you're looking at that person in complete privacy and from the eye of the mind. And therefore, you're completely free to talk whatever you wish to talk, and you can express. Same thing you cannot do when you see that person. So the subtle experience is more powerful than the physical experience, but the causal experience is the most powerful, which is liberated beings. They are causal. So the three examples first given was the embryo and the womb. The consciousness got covered by different degrees of lust. So highest degree of lust, when a living entity envelops itself into, then he takes birth in the form of a tree. The little better position from this embryo is, what's the example given? Mirror and dust. You can somewhat see yourself. So those are compared with birds, the four-legged animals, etc. Relatively better. But the beginning of a spiritual realization, that is smoke. That is only possible when, after 8 million species of life, you enter into the human life. Human life itself has 400,000 species of life. Again, not प्रभु जी वो कीड़े के 12 पैर थे, इसको भी काउंट किया होगा क्या? Not like that. There are trillions and trillions of species you can find, visible, invisible, all of that. So that's not the categorization. It is depending on, this is the type of consciousness, then that's the type of life. Those are 8.4 million categories. And then within a category, there will be multiple manifestations. Multiple. So in different degrees, again, I would like to remind you, the lust word has to be taken in the broadest possible sense, which basically loosely translates to desire, kama, sakama, nishkama, with desire, without desire, sakama, with desire. And then there are material desires and spiritual desires. At the first early stage of our devotional life, we should try to, whatever our current standard of material desire is, we should try to lessen it from there. Don't try to become a pure devotee day one. Doesn't work. You have to first, okay, this is my standard today. And then from there, lessen it. Those of you who wish to know, I will be giving a detailed class on, how to sustain Kartik vows on Tuesday morning. So please feel free to come and attend. There I will be talking about, uh, how to assess where you are currently. And then from there on, what sort of spiritual activities, both ways, the, what you call in Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, you have like Dhyan, Dharana, Samadhi. Before that, Asan, Pranayam. Prior to that is Pratyahar. What is Yam and Niyam? Favorable and unfavorable. Giving up the unfavorable. Taking up the favorable. We do both. So I'll be talking about those. I'll be connecting it to the 4 regulative principles and the concomitant principles, like pillars of dharma: austerity, truthfulness, mercy, cleanliness. These are the 4 pillars of religion. Each pillar each regulative principle is connected with a pillar. So when you say no meat eating, that's a regulative principle for us. That basically means it will help you cultivate mercy. It will help you from becoming merciless, because killing, violence, stopping somebody's natural course of life abruptly, all of this makes one devoid of mercy, compassion. So, these four pillars were there at the beginning of the creation. Today, the only one pillar is there, and that pillar is truthfulness. I know some of you say, Prabhuji, kahan hai sachai? Well, when truthfulness will vanish, you won't board the aircraft that you haven't made. People are genuinely working. There is truthfulness there. So it is there. But austerity is gone. Mercy is gone. Cleanliness is gone. When you engage in undesirable sex life, then cleanliness goes away. When you get into a lot of addiction, or sorry, gambling and all of those things, then truthfulness gets affected. So I'll be talking about these four pillars and how many habits are there which you can take up as vows, and then how do you sustain those vows. So those of you who wish to come, please feel free. uh, Mataji, you can share the link with devotees on that day. But don't think that Karthik has begun, I couldn't take a vow. No, it's okay. Karthik began on 7th. You're taking a vow on 14th. Doesn't matter. No issues. You can say half the Karthik, I'll do it. Radharani will most certainly take note of that. Yes, who could sustain for a month, they are better than us. But not that we are at ground zero. So these are different degrees with which each one of us are covered depending upon where we are on the ladder of evolution. You can visualize it like this: make a staircase with 14 steps, and the top step is Brahmalok, and the 7th step, the middle one actually, 8th basically, not 7th, is us, and down is Netherlands, not the Netherlands that you know, nether regions, so to say. And like, Sutal, Atal, Vital, Patal, like that. On us, on top of us, Bhuvarlok, after that, Swargalok. So Bhuvarlok, Om Bhur Bhuva Swa. So it talks about earth, it talks about right the region above us and the heavenly planet. Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha. Tat Savitur. Savita means sun god. Tat Savitur Vareneyam. So even when you chant the Gayatri, you talk about these three regions only. Above that is Janalok, Maharlok, Tapalok, and then Brahmalok, or Satyalok as they say. So these are the broad possible categories of consciousness. We are at the middle step because we have crossed over 8 million types. We have 400,000 types more, but mind you, like a snakes and ladders game, we can go down. There is a story that comes of Dwarkadhish with Maharaj Yudhishthir enjoying, or not enjoying actually, witnessing a Rajasuya Yajna or some yajna that they were performing, Havan. And Yudhishthir Maharaj saw that on that altar of, the Havan, there was this insect who was trying to crawl up. And every time it made an effort, it fell down. The insect fell down. And that happened almost 15-20 times. Yudhishthir Maharaj felt compassionate. And then he looked at the Lord and he said, "My dear Lord, you are here. There's so many saintly personalities. And look at his struggle." So Krishna smiled and Krishna said, "Yudhishthir, do you know who he is?" So Yudhishthir Maharaj said, "No." He said, "This fellow has been Indra 3 times. This insect had attained that kind of consciousness that he got the position of the king of heaven. From there he fell down. Brahmanda Brahmite. In these 14 planetary systems, you can roam around anywhere. That's why it is dangerous. Billions and billions and trillions of lifetimes, no end. The lowermost, which means highest lust. Right now, where we are, like we are not pigeons. We don't do intercourses 13, 15 times a day. We are not like monkeys also. We have gotten better with time. But that's not a guarantee that now you won't fall back. Keep working, keep moving up the ladder. Don't stop. And if you want to bypass the remaining 7 steps, chant Hare Krishna. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundari, sundarim. I don't want. I want perpetual bliss of loving devotional service. Because even Brahma has to leave body. Pure intelligence, Satyalok. Mind region up to heaven. Then the power of mind starts decreasing. As in, the influence of mind starts decreasing. And the influence of intelligence starts coming. So for the next 4 lokas, and then Brahmalok is pure intelligence. But as I told you, beyond intelligence is consciousness. That is Turiya state. Cannot be explained, can't be understood, can only be experienced. In that Turiya state, devotees and the Supreme Personality of Godhead engage in their loving relationship of exchange of rasa. So that's why lust has to be understood like that, connected to the lowest living entity, which means highest lust. It may mean that because before 8 million, before us, none of them is a karma yoni. They are all bhoga yoni, which means they just have instinct. That's all, survival instincts. They don't have vivek. Vivek means discriminating capability. Discrimination, the right meaning of discrimination is discriminating temporary from permanent. That vivek is given to human beings. That's the smoke. Faint now, but it is coming now. If you utilize it properly, last line of the purport of Srila Prabhupada, if you'll see, he says, one can revive his Krishna consciousness. One can set this fire ablaze by getting into Krishna consciousness under proper guidance. Proper guidance. Crucial statement. So, desire is the basis why we are stuck in these 14 planetary systems. And we on our own cannot get rid of it. Therefore, in utter helplessness, we call forth the names of Sri Sri Radha Krishna and pray to them that may they disentangle us from all these. Ekaki nahi pai bal, tomhar karuna sar. Stand alone, I have no strength. O devotees, your mercy is my only hope. This is intelligence. This is great intelligence. Great, great intelligence. If somehow or other, not parroting, if somehow or other it can occur to us that ekaki nahi paibal, on my own I can't do it. Krishna and his devotees have to help me disentangle myself and get out of this material sphere. I would like to stop the class now, and next week we will take next verse or couple of verses. But actually these were 3 verses, 36, 37, 38, predominantly dedicated to lust, effect of lust, and how harmful it is. So thank you so much for paying attention. I hope there are no questions. If there is, you can ask. Otherwise, I'll close the session. Great. Thank you so much. Shri Krishna Chandra Bhagavan ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada की जय, श्रीला गुरु महाराज की जय, आप सभी भक्त वृंद की जय, निताई गौर सीतानाथ प्रेमानंदी, हरि हरि, हरे कृष्ण, धन्यवाद प्रणाम।
Hare Krishna, Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, pranams. Thank you
Hare
so much.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, ma'am.